leader on his first official tour of the Grand Bahama Shipyard, but was he impressed with the operations of this leading ship care facility? The answer straight ahead, only on the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition.
I'm Joan Davis-Roll. It's Decision Day for BPSU members throughout the country, and we'll tell you about Grand Bahama in the story coming up.
The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, I'm Sabrina Brown. Thank you for joining us. The nation's chief executive heading a delegation on a tour of the Grand Bahama Shipyard today. The ship care facility is recognized internationally as a leader in the ship repair business. During the visit, the Prime Minister got a first-hand look at the operations of the facility located in the heart of Freeport's Industrial Park. Shashina Roll reports.
The nation's leader, while on his first official tour of the Grand Bahama Shipyard, made it clear that he was very impressed with the operations of this ship care facility. He told officials that his government is willing to work in any way that they can so that Bahamians can be trained and employed in this industrial sector. The nation's leader, along with a delegation of government ministers and other officials, arrived at the Grand Bahama Shipyard shortly after 8 o'clock Friday morning. The group held a private meeting with officials of the shipyard where discussions on the operations of the ship care facility was held. Government officials were then taken on a tour of the ship care facility. They were able to view the docking areas and get a glimpse of the work taking place in the yard before meeting with employees from the various departments. The Prime Minister took time out to offer words of encouragement to the employees.
For you to earn a good living, and the potential is here for you to do that, that you must endeavor to be the best you can, and ultimately you are going to be exceptional.
The nation's leader then met with members of the media at a press conference. He says he was very impressed with the operations at the shipyard, noting that the ship care facility continues to play a major role in the economy of Grand Bahama.
The shipyard has had an exponential impact on the economy by way of the rental income that it puts to landlords by the large number of units. In fact, they said it's a very significant 152 units rented through the employment here in Grand Bahama. That in itself is significant, meaning 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom apartments, and they say that with a rental that ranges from $900 to $2,200 a month.
The shipyard has a total of 1,200 employees. Some 400 of them are foreign specialized workers. The Prime Minister says discussions also centered around reducing the reliance on expat workers.
In answering the question as to whether or not the Bahamians have the capacity to engage in the high-level specialist work, they have pointed out Bahamians who started as apprentices here, who are now engaged in very sophisticated work.
But the nation's leader was told that there has been a reduction in the hiring of foreign workers. The number has decreased from between 18 to 100 work permits to 50.
The point is they're making significant progress, and they claim that progress. What we would like to do is to see, with a little bit of stimulation from the government and maybe some help from the government, how we could even make that a much more beautiful and stronger story.
The Prime Minister also commending the shipyard for investing in the youth of Grand Bahama.
One has to really encourage them when you see the extent to which they have made contributions to the school environment. And it's in physically developing facilities in the school, contributing facilities, computers and the new boards that they use for teaching aids in the schools, and physical grounds in the schools.
Now, the Prime Minister says he leaves with the spirit of optimism and camaraderie, adding that the significance of this public-private partnership can only bode well for Bahamians in the industrial sector. Shashina Roll, ZNS Network News.
Chief Executive Officer at the Grand Bahama Shipyard, Carl Rotkirsch, says today's discussions with Prime Minister Christie and his delegation was fruitful. He's shared with the nation's leader comments made by the biggest cruise ship company in the world regarding the Grand Bahama Shipyard.
I think I would like to repeat what we said in the beginning, that when our private meeting started, I had the chance to read a message from the President and CEO of Carnival Corporation, which is one of our shareholders and also one of the, well, in fact, the biggest cruise ship company in the world. And he made no excuse for calling this the #1 cruise ship repair facility in the world.
Yesterday, the nation's leaders spent time on the island of Bimini at the official commissioning of that island's new cruise port. The Prime Minister says the port should open doors of opportunities for the people of Bimini. He says the government is on a mission to ensure that Biminites become key economic players, and he challenged residents to capitalize on this investment. Joan Davis-Roll reports.
Bimini's gateway just got bigger with the official grand opening of the new multi-million-dollar port at Resort World Bimini. The mega project, according to the nation's chief executive, the Prime Minister, is indicative of the investor confidence that the Genting Group has reposed in the future of that northern island. The Prime Minister is adamant that the true success of this mega project could and must only be measured by the overall empowerment of Biminites.
Ladies and gentlemen, when I arrived here, I came with the thought of the government of the Bahamas hiring a particular company to assist us in moving quickly to put in place infrastructure inclusive of schools, clinics, sporting facilities, but to do it in a timely fashion so that the people of Bimini are not looking through the window of development, but they themselves are participating in the development. And when I got here, and coming from along speaking with Chairman Lim, he began to articulate a position that the company, his development, has decided to do the very same thing. So I said, this is how the Lord works. I ain't got to pay for what I want to take place.
This new service, as well as this new port, augurs well for this island, not only as a tourism center, but also establishing this island as a world-class destination. Biminites like Robbie Smith and Frank Hinsey say they are thrilled about the new cruise port.
It's going to boost the economy of Bimini so great because now they get to be on the island a lot longer than 2 hours, so they'll be here 6 hours, so they'll be able to venture into Alistown, and you know, all the local business, they should be profiting real good after this.
What can you tell us about the Prime Minister issued a challenge about he don't want Biminites to be on the outside looking in, he wants Biminites at the table making decisions. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think that's a great thing because time Biminites now going to be stepping up to the plate, and like he said, we don't want to be looking in, we want to be right next to them inside and doing what we have to do and try to move on, so in the future that we will be able to start our own business by profiting off what's going on up here.
I'm very delighted. I sat here and watched this big ship pull in. I couldn't believe my own eyes because it's the first time I haven't traveled on it yet. It's the first time I see it pull into the dock, and I can't believe what I'm seeing. I mean, knowing this area we used to be back and forth in little boats, and now we got a big cruise ship docking here. So I thank God for the day.
Joan Davis-Roll, ZNS Network News.
The government's VAT team met with members of the Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce last week, but chamber officials are still calling for clarification about the tax system. They contend that business owners still have a myriad of concerns. The Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce issued a position paper on value-added tax in February, which included certain core principles for the government to consider before implementing VAT.
Any tax that is ultimately adopted by the government of the Bahamas should respect and recognize the terms of the Hawkesbury Creek Agreement. That was the first thing. The second thing is any tax reforms adopted should be progressive rather than regressive. Now, unfortunately, they didn't listen to us on that one, and we went ahead with a VAT, which is a very regressive tax. The third point was any revenue-raising legislation should be accompanied by a companion piece of legislation which puts limits on government spending. We suggested that the tax collection procedures should be enhanced, and that the leakages that are occurring with respect to taxes should be severely curtailed.
Chamber Executive Kevin Seymour says they would also like the government to reconsider imposing VAT on services offered between licensees. But he says the government did adopt some of their recommendations.
They gave more time before they implemented the VAT. And we were also concerned about inflation, and in reaction to that, they reduced the rate, which at the time was 15% to 7.5%.
But because of the complexity involved with VAT, Seymour believes the implementation date should be pushed back. The Chamber is also concerned about the impact VAT will have on the small man.
The regressive nature of any tax is that it has a greater impact on those who are less able to pay. And so because most people in the Bahamas would rely on the taxes and services that will be assessed a VAT, those with less money are going to struggle harder in terms to consume the items that they're used to consuming.
A major election held today for members of the Bahamas Public Services Union. The 12-year rule by President John Pinder is being challenged by Team Restoration. As we hear in this report from Joan Davis-Roll, the election process proving to be a smooth one for voters here on Grand Bahama.
It is decision day for BPSU members throughout the country, and in particular members on Grand Bahama. Polls opened promptly Friday morning at the Bahamas Public Service Union Hall in Freeport. Labor officials facilitating the process, where some 500 civil servants were eligible to vote. There were members and candidates in support of incumbent President John Pinder's We Care team.
The team I represent is the We Care team. Mr. John Pinder is the president, who has been our president for the past 12 years.
What do you hope will happen at the end of the day?
We would have success at the poll again for the 5th time.
Today's election, what we are seeing so far is a lot of persons are coming by, not as much as we would like to see, but we know because of work situation. We feel confident, today that we will see a turnout for us and a victory. We know that it's not in our hands, but in the hands of the people and in the hands of God, and we just behind Ms. Roll and Mr. Pinder, and we're looking forward to this victory.
But their opponents say for 12 years there has been no show of care, and now they have declared. Where you stand for what time is it?
It's Bahama time.
How accurate that declaration is could only be determined by voters. Voters who say they're looking for strong leadership to effectively tackle the issues.
It's a very interesting day for the Bahama team. We feel victory. We feel that we was elect for a very, very long time. For 12 years now, we was elect here in Freeport, no representation. So we hope the Bahama team could just pull us through.
Better working condition, health insurance, the pension, and so many other things, housing.
I feel very, very comfortable, confident, optimistic. I think that the outcry of the membership, particularly in Grand Bahama, will be heard and has been heard by myself and others, the majority of the membership, and I feel like we're going to do pretty well.
Joan Davis-Roll, ZNS Network News.
Bringing news that matters to you. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition.
Welcome back. Another delay in the pretrial review of 4 men accused of conspiracy to commit armed robbery, murder, and armed robbery in the death of former businessman Christopher Outen. The review was expected to begin yesterday morning, but it was adjourned because one of the suspects, Natario Watkins, did not report to court. When the pretrial review resumed this morning, Natario Watkins still didn't appear and an arrest warrant was issued for him. The court was told that the accused may may be in Bimini. Justice Hartman Longley then set the review down for Thursday, September 25th at 9:30 a.m. to give suretors some additional time to get Notario Watkins to court. Now they stand to lose some $30,000 if he doesn't appear. It is understood that Notario Watkins did report for the arraignment on August 25th, and that is when he was given the September 18th date to reappear in court. It is understood that Watkins hasn't been signing in, which is a condition of his bail. The other accused in the matter, Chicago's Sean Colley, is represented by attorney Carlson Sherland. Simeon and Simone Brown are appearing on behalf of Valentino Bethel. Rufus Allen is the attorney for Harrison and Notario Watkins. The four men were allegedly involved in the robbery and murder of Christopher Outen outside his home in Deadman's Reef in January of last year. Justice Hartman Longley is presiding. Eric Kemp is the prosecutor. If you have children who play video games or spend long hours on the internet, then perhaps you need to listen closely to this next report. A concerned mother is sharing her story of how video games made her son ill and allegedly led to the deaths of some young people in the United States. They may just seem like games, but this concerned parent says the effects of video games are nothing to play with. Kendra Crawford says it all started innocently when her son was 14 years old, and she thought playing video games was a safe way to keep him occupied.
He would, at night, be on with those games until the wee hours of the morning when I least suspected it. And so he became so addicted that he stopped eating. He stopped drinking. And so one day he just fell out with a seizure, and it was unsuspectingly, and good thing the housekeeper was home with them.
Kendra says from all indication her son was fast becoming addicted to what she thought was a wholesome activity.
The first time he had the seizure and he was in the hospital, he wanted his games and his telephones, and he kept calling for them. I mean, when he came to in the ambulance, he kept calling for the games. He also got to the point where he would want to fight me.
After noticing the change in her son's behavior, Kendra says she researched the video games. That's when she found out some alarming information.
Some of the games actually says on it may cause seizures, and some children do actually eventually have a lot of seizures. These seizures, once they've come on unsuspectingly, the parent may not react accordingly. And so damage is done to the brain.
But Kendra says her son, who is now 16, was able to break free of the addiction.
I had to tell him that, look, if you continue this and you continue having seizures, you're not going to be able to drive a car. You're not going to hold down a regular job. You're going to be stuck working with me for a long time. And I think when I told him that he won't be able to drive that dream car he wants, that kind of hit the nerves, and he started, doing better, and he's put down the games now.
Now, while all video games may not be bad, Kendra is encouraging parents to monitor the games their children play, read the labels closely, and be on the lookout for any changes in behavior. Despite some apparent controversy earlier this week regarding the status of the Susan Wallace Teen Center, the center and its after-school program are now up and running. Tonight, the council member intimately involved in the program says the center is already making a difference.
After a one-week delay, the Susan J. Wallace Community Center opened with a successful turnout. Liaison Counselor for Community Centers, Fraser Gibson, says after only 3 days, 117 students have already signed up to be a part of the various programs.
It was busting with students, as well as the Wellington Ferguson Community Center is open as well, and that's located in the Pioneers Loop area. And so the children are excited to come to the structured and focused programs that we have, and we were very keen in selecting the instructors for the centers, who all are either retired educators or educators who are practicing now.
The center offers various classes that help to develop the entire child mentally and physically, but Gibson says so far homework assistance continues to be the most popular program.
I think the parents are very excited that it's back and running, because a lot of parents are focusing on putting food on the table. And so with getting the additional assistance in helping their children to exceed in school is very important.
Gibson is encouraging parents to continue to take advantage of the programs available at both the Wellington Pinder Center and the Susan J. Wallace Center.
We want to thank the parents for entrusting their children to us, and we are here to serve, and so more students are welcome to come because it's offered free of charge for parents that need the assistance, and even adults who want to take up sewing, arts and craft. They're free to come. We have karate for the young people as well.
Evening programs are also available for adults. Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
That's a look at news tonight. Stay with us. Ricardo Liborn is up next with sports.
Everybody, it's time for sports. Yes, it's Friday, so let's get cooking. The NBA basketball season is going to start next month, and the Atlanta Hawks cheerleaders will showcase Grand Bahama on the calendar and also on their promos. The Atlanta Hawks cheerleaders calendar shoot was awesome, and the Grand Lucane Resort fit the billing. There was also a video shoot for the cheerleaders and PR from start to finish as the Hawks get ready for their season. Mike Duell said it was a memorable experience for the crew, the cheerleaders, and Atlanta Hawks NBA franchise.
Doing a lot of video here also. We're shooting a television show for our local Fox network that'll just kind of highlight the girls in their calendar shoot. We're also shooting some features that our fans will see on Hawks.com, and also when they come to the games, it'll just be the cheerleaders doing some challenges. We went snorkeling, just doing a lot of fun stuff in the Bahamas.
It's been good for you so far.
It's been very great. It's very beautiful here. We've enjoyed our time.
The select Atlanta Hawks cheerleaders was a unique one, says talent manager Donnie Frazier. The best of the best was selected for the season, like Gabby.
We have a week-long process. We usually have a preliminary round. It's about 6 hours. It starts on a Sunday, and then we have a week that we call the Fabulous Finalists Week. So the girls go through boot camps, they go through a pageant style mixer where they have to answer questions in front of our fans and family and the public, so we get a little bit of an idea of their personality, and then they go through a final round which includes a swimsuit round, so we can kind of get a glimpse of what we're going to see here like we do now in the Bahamas.
So how do you feel about their performance this year once you guys get back and the season starts?
Really excited about their performance. We've had a little bit of practice. Only rookies so far have been practicing, so when we get back, we'll get back to it because it's only about a month until our first game.
The Atlanta Hawks cheerleaders calendar and video will be out the 1st of October, and they'll be ready for the NBA season. Well, the YMCA Commercial Basketball League Championship continues tonight, folks. The Grand Lucane Warriors and the Boca Oilers are locked up in a doozy of a series. You see, the Warriors took game one with a total team effort. Jabbar Lightbourne, Carvel Bain, and Jamal Hall were the sparks there. In game two, the Oilers stopped the bickering and the fighting in-house and played a complete game, and they evened the series. Clemente Martin, DeJohn Wagos, Tomasio Dames getting it done. Now, game three is a series backbreaker. The Oilers coach Barrett Clark is feeling the pinch of this series.
Boca Oilers can take it home. We playing much better. Everybody's confident, and like I told the guys before, even though we lead, the lead is number one. Our biggest difference between everyone, we have heart. These guys who never stop playing. We never dominated every game we played. We was down one. These guys coming here like we was up one. So I confident with that.
Well, the Warriors Garnett Hall says that, well, don't sweat it. Game three has got an 8 o'clock tip-off tonight. It's going to be a good one. Should be a doozy. And for all of my Dolphin friends, yes, Kansas City will be in town for you on Sunday. Break out the Band-Aids. It ain't going to be pretty. That's a look at sports tonight.